Hey guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case, talking about communication, radio, how important it is. During a disaster, an emergency event, maybe a natural disaster, it is important to gather information. Talking about how the weather is looking, about places to evacuate, points to go to, places where food and shelter is being offered to people, that kind of thing. Even a basic AM, FM radio, of course, is going to be enough. That's generally what you find in those emergency radios that have the solar panel and the hand crank on the side. Information is pretty important in general, so as to know when a storm is going to be ending, when power is going to be back up and such. Even for something like what we had in Argentina with a pretty big economic collapse, I use radio as well quite a bit on daily basis, so as to know where different roadblocks and protests were taking place, if there was rioting somewhere, specifically points to avoid across the city when moving around. Also, so as to know later on during the day when I should be heading back home, if there was a strike, maybe if there was a train employee strike, something like that, or protest again, so as to avoid the different schedules that were going on during that day. Also, in terms of the local currency losing value, it was important to gather every single day, know exactly how much your currency was worth. Every single day, which it would be changing a little bit. Maybe one day the dollar was worth 3 pesos or 3.50, and it would change even within a matter of hours. So it was pretty important to be keeping up on the exact value, especially if you had savings, some savings in dollars, which most people had. I mean, when something like that happens and your currency is losing value very fast, what happens is that people save in other things. They saved in dollars, in euros. Maybe if something like that happens in US, instead of looking at that, you would be looking at the value of precious metals that specific day, how much your gold is worth, how much your silver is worth that specific day, and know exactly how much it's worth. It's going to be allowing you to do the transactions properly and not get ripped off in the process. Now, a basic AM FM radio is going to be enough in most cases. There are some possible scenarios, as unlikely as they may be. If there's a widespread disaster across the entire country and everything has been knocked down, you may want to have something that allows you to listen what's being said in other countries, even other continents across the world. The other possibility, let's suppose that there's a serious problem with the government taking over and censorship, and you're not getting the truth from your local media. Something like this will allow you to listen what's being said in other places and what's probably the truth that is being denied to you. Talking about a shortwave receiver, a world radio. This just costs 15-20 bucks, give or take. It is very cheap, guys, and this is the internet before the internet. This is what was used before, so as to know what's being said in other countries. I was reading about this in Wikipedia. The Wikipedia article on shortwave receivers was saying that it's usually used by rebellions and it's spreading propaganda, political propaganda. It's hard to censorship all this stuff, so it's used by revolutionaries across the world. It is pretty neat. I mean, I've been listening to Arabic speaking transmissions, Chinese stuff, some things in French and in Spanish, in Portuguese, Italian. Yeah, of course, the Chinese stuff, I don't understand a single word, and you may be thinking, if I only know English, what's the point of this? Well, basically, if you just know English, of course, you're going to be picking up everything said in UK, in Ireland, also in Canada, but also in different places. I was just listening a few minutes ago about a woman transmitting from Delhi in India, New Delhi in India. She was talking in English, and the day before, I was listening to another woman transmitting from China, also in English. So even if you just have English to work with, you can still listen to what's being said in other parts of the world. Let's try it for a minute here. Some sort of Chinese.
دماغ الطفل ليس ناضجا بما فيه الكفاية بحيث يميز وحده بين أنواع الأغذية أو أن يكون قادرا على الاختيار بين الأغذية الصحية وغير الصحية. فالطفل يتعلم في هذه المرحلة العمرية بالتقليد.
Before I was listening to an American station in Washington. When you tune in properly, the little light this turns on. You see how it turns on when it tunes in actually properly? There. To use this, you have to be very patient, slowly moving across the dial, finding the frequency that does work. Very slowly, moving it a little bit around. Then, once you go through the entire band, you try another band. You see how it changes there from one band to the other. You have FM, AM, LW, and then all those other bands as well. This is shortwave, so it goes from 13 meters up to 60. I think it reaches up to 200 meters, still considered shortwave. So it's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, let's suppose there's some serious problem, some serious event. You will have the time so as to go through all these. You have to try it during the morning, the afternoon, and at night as well, because it does change through the day. And maybe write down the exact frequency and band where you found the radio you want to listen to again, the time, the exact frequency and band, so as to keep that noted. But I think it's a great asset. I mean, just for a few bucks, it's clearly more capable than your basic AM, FM radio. A world receiver, a world radio receiver, shortwave receiver. Guys, just more information for you to keep in mind and think about it. If you happen to come across one of these in an emergency version, ruggerized with solar panels and such, let me know, because I'd like to get something like that a little bit more sturdy than this one that I have here. Still, it does work. Still, you're able to listen what's being said in other places around the world with something like this. Guys, as always, take care. Have a great day. Remember to subscribe, and see you in our next video.